Hi guys, we are in like the basement and I am sitting here and I've got books piled everywhere around me and I'm going through my coursework, and I seriously have been taking this college course for a very long time. I've learned so much, but you guys, like I just flipped open this book and look at the title that popped up. It's forgiveness, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the topic of my life today. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to come on and we're going to talk about forgiveness, because forgiveness is one of the most powerful things you can give yourself for freedom. Hi! As you guys come on, say hi. You're getting to see my basement because I have books piled everywhere and I didn't want to move. So I just grabbed my tripod and here we sit. I might be able to turn on a light. We'll see. Maybe. There, that's a little better. Okay, so as you come on, say hi. Where are you tuning in from? What is the weather like for you guys today? Here it's like super overcast and cloudy. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I haven't even gotten dressed yet. Went to Walmart, and of course you always bump into people that you know when you're in your pajamas, right? But that's okay. So how are you? How is everybody? Hi, Brandy. How are you guys today? I'm gonna wave to you. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm in a different place in my basement. Yes. Okay. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? Okay. I wanted to talk to you guys about forgiveness because so many times we get so caught up in like all of our stuff that we forget that forgiveness is the key to happiness, right? We really do. We forget that when we forgive, hi Jenny, we forget that forgiveness is like, it's almost like it takes the weight of the world off of our shoulder. And I was so grateful for who I ran into at Walmart, because it was almost like a moment, right? Like a moment of, oh, well, you're human and I'm human, and I still love you, and I love the soul that you are. And, you know, it was just really, really cool, right? And so my lives, you guys get a pretty real version of me. I don't like tell you all the details. I don't go through all of my heartaches. I don't tell you every time I burst into tears or cry or, you know, freak out or worry. But for the most part, you get the real Amanda, right? And of course I don't, you know, talk about all that stuff, like the crap talking and stuff like that. Hi, Danielle. How are you feeling? Okay, so this is such a huge topic. Like, how many times have you been somewhere in your life and all of a sudden all these situations just start piling upon themselves, right? Hello, Miss Lana. I love you so much. Hi, Shayla. How many times do you go through your life and you just realize that, you know, there's just all this stuff piling up on you, right? You kind of like forget about being in the present moment and you start hashing out all of the things that have happened. And, you know, for me, going through Facebook is always a trigger, right? Like if I have stuff going on in my life and then I go through, hi, Karina, and then I go through Facebook, for some reason, it triggers all kinds of pain for me, right? Especially when I go through my memories. If I go through like, you know, my old pictures, or I decide to go through Time Hop and I see some stuff that no longer exists in my life because, you know, we're constantly changing and we're constantly growing, right? I forget that when we can like literally forgive ourselves. I'm not talking about other people. I mean, it's good to forgive other people, but when we can really look at ourselves and say, you know, I did the best I could with what I had. I don't see how I could have done it any different knowing what I knew without knowing what was coming, right? So I'm going to read you guys a story. And this is about forgiving someone else. And I'm sorry about my voice. Me and my whole entire family woke up with scratchy throats this morning. And so I don't know if it's the rain or what, but it is overcast and it's only like 72 degrees here. It's so cool. Okay, when we do not forgive someone or some situation, we store that energy as a block, okay? And it is scientifically proven, like if you want to look into, there's 10,000 books on it, but every single thing that we go through, that we create or we think is like a trauma of some sort, we create a layer, right? We create these like patterns in our brain, and then we subconsciously divert to feel that way again, right? Just like you can take it back to something as simple as, you know, the first time you touch a hot stove, it burns you. You don't ever want to feel that again. Well, that's the same with being abandoned or betrayed or hurt or lied to or gossiped about or fired from a job. Like, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's terrible on your heart and your body not to forgive. It's horrible. But what it does is it sits in our cells, right? And I know you guys have heard this. Like, when you hold fire, you're the one that gets burned. You are the one that is holding the flame that is essentially causing you the pain, and the only way to release it is forgiveness. Now, forgiveness it's difficult to look at a situation and say, okay, this is another human, this is another soul, they've affected me somehow, right? And I can talk about my dad and my father-in-law in this situation. Like, right, my father-in-law was hit while he was on his motorcycle by a drunk driver and killed. There was a lot of anger with that, you guys. Like, why did that guy drink? Why didn't he stay at home? Why did he get in his car? Like, my father-in-law was only 42 years old. I just had a brand new baby. He'd only met Cadence once, right? Like, there was so much hurt and anger. And then you take my husband, who is this warrior energy, this masculine, like, you don't take from my family, right? And his grandfather, who was then like, why did this happen? We can take these real life situations. So I'm not just talking at you. Like, we have dealt with some major stuff where we've had to learn how to let go and how to forgive, because, along that, my husband didn't get to see his dad the day that he died. I did. I saw him that morning and I had Cadence with me, but Nick wasn't feeling well. And so he didn't want to be around his grandpa, who was sick, right? So not only was it hard to forgive, but there was also guilt. Like, I should have just gone. I should have just given him a hug. I should have just went. Like, I was worried about getting my grandpa sick, and now my dad's dead. Like, this is tough stuff, okay? And I'm being really real with you because I know, and I have chills, which means that this is true. This is heartfelt, true stuff. How many of you guys have a situation in your life where you cannot see the other side of how it can get better? You can't see that there is forgiveness or there's light or there's hope. Hi, Cindy. How many of you guys have that situation? Drop me an emoji. Drop me a number 1 if it's like really close to your heart right now. Drop me a number 10 if you've dealt with this in your past, right? Like, if this is something that's not happening in your present moment, but it has happened in your past, right? So a 1 if you're dealing with something right now, and a 10 if you've dealt something in the past. Let me tell you the story. Many religious people have focused their energies on forgiveness and reached wonderful levels of peace, right? In these states, you can pay attention to them. You can look at them and you can say, oh, I walked through that. I have peace with that, right? And it also offers great inspiration, because when you've walked through something and somebody else is walking through it, you can be like, listen, I know this is going to get better. I know that you're going to be able to forgive this person that did this, or this doctor that hurt your family, or this friend that betrayed you, or this company that fired you, whatever it is, right? Like, it doesn't matter the actual situation. And I'm just throwing stuff out there. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi got shot. And when he got shot, he looked at the person who shot him and he said God's name. And he placed his hands in prayer position, indicating his forgiveness towards his assassin. The Buddhist monk says, look past others' faults and forgive in lenient tolerance. To forgive instantly purifies a person and fully opens the door to love and understanding. And that's quoted from the BuddhistView.com. Just so you guys know where that comes from. And I've never been on that website. That's just part of my book. But how do you forgive, right? Like, how do you forgive somebody? What do you do with it? There's lots of different ways. Greg Braden, he has a book called Walking Between the Worlds. Radical forgiveness is not letting bygones be bygones. It is coming to the realization that, seen from the spiritual perspective, nothing wrong ever actually happened. Because if we can come from that mindset that everything happens for us, like, I understand now that my father-in-law's life played a very huge part once it ended in our lives, right? That's how we moved to Vernal. That's how I grew as a person. That's how I was able to have my next child. It was the hospital here that saved Kinley's life, right? Like all of that stuff that played itself out. And I'm not saying I ever want anybody to die so that people can grow, but I'm just saying that when you look at it from a spiritual point of view, there really are no accidents. There really are no reasons for anybody to be upset at anybody else when all people are doing the best that they can with what they have. Even the bad, yucky ones that decide to never grow and change, they still come into your life to give you a perspective. And maybe that perspective is, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I've come as far as I've come so that I don't act like that. Or, man, I'm so grateful that my parents raised me the way they raised me, because if they didn't, I might have ended up like that, right? Like, I'm talking about criminal stuff, like rape and murder and all that horrible stuff, right? Like, and it's just like the movie The Shack. I love that movie. If you guys have seen the movie The Shack, put a heart emoji in the comments. Because The Shack changed my whole life. It actually changed my husband's life too. Because we had like these skewed perspectives, right? We had these ideals in our head that, you know, forgiveness is tough and it's all God's fault. But in that movie, there's a part where she comes in and the guy sits in judgment, right, with the woman. And he has to choose. Okay, you have to choose this, your son or your daughter. You have to pick. You cannot just save one. You can't save them both. You have to just pick one. You know, who did more wrong than this one? And that part in that movie made me realize that every single person is walking the path that they're supposed to walk. They really are. Whether that is they're an abuser and they're abused, they're a victim, they're a victor, they're successful, they're poor, they're a teacher or a healer. Doesn't matter what it is. Every single person decided somehow, somewhere, some way that they wanted to experience their life right now with you. Right now. In this moment, in this time, in this life. And it's all perfect, right? Oh, I'm so glad you made it home. I love that. I just got a text message. Okay, so in that, we have to realize that every person is doing the best that they can. So I want to teach you guys something. This is something that I learned. I don't remember where I learned this actually, but you take and you close your eyes and you imagine the person or the situation that you have a problem with, okay? So imagine this person, and I'm just going to use the man that got drunk and, you know, ended my father-in-law's life. So I imagine him. I don't know what he looks like. I never met him. All I know is what he drove and that he was drinking, right? But I can imagine him. And then I want you to imagine you guys are standing like right next to each other. And I want you to pull your souls out, right? Like the inner light. You know, you've all seen the movies of what a soul looks like when it leaves the body or whatever. But there's this inner soul that is just inside of us, right? So pull it out and look at his soul or her soul or the situation soul and your soul and pull them out and look at them. They're exactly the same. You're both having a human experience on this planet at this time because this is what you wanted. And at the end of the day, there's only love. That's it. There's no anger, there's no resentment, there's no guilt, there's no frustration. But you have to get to a place where you see their truth. You see their heart, their soul, who they really are. And you can't help but love that soul. You can't help but love their struggles. You can't help but love the things that they've overcome and the addictions that man fought, right? Like I have no idea what he fought. I wasn't in his brain or lived in his life or any of that stuff. And that's just a really good way to start forgiveness. Because when you can look at somebody and see them as your equal, as this pure, amazing soul that just came to have an experience just like you can't really judge them. You can't really hate them. You can't really hold anger for them because they're doing the best they can, even when it hurts. Radical forgiveness is in alignment with the path of remembering the connectedness of all of life. So I'm connected to you, you're connected to me, we're all connected to the trees, we're all connected to the earth, we're all one, right? Like it's so crazy. Sometimes you'll talk to somebody and, you know, they'll be going through the exact same situation you are. And it's like, whoa, how can you be going through the exact same thing I'm going through when we live in 2 different states or 5 different, like, countries away, right? And that's why I love Facebook because I love Facebook. I really do love you guys. I really do love Facebook. Sometimes it's hard for me though. But it's amazing how many people can be connected because of this oneness, right? This oneness that we have. We all just want to be happy. We all just want to be able to spend time with our families. We all just want to have a family, right? And if you don't want to have a family, you want to have pets, or you want to have some sort of fellowship, right? And so that's what's so cool. I know, laughing. I do love Facebook. I promise. It's awesome. I just get triggered by it sometimes, and then I got to work through my own stuff. But once we can see somebody as just this beautiful soul that is fighting their own battles, and that's why I love the saying, be kinder than necessary. There's so many other things we have to worry about. There's so many other problems and so much other chaos. Why would we create more by holding on to something that no longer serves us? And is holding on to hate and resentment and anger and frustration, is it serving you? And promise, I trust you guys, like this is something I have walked through a couple hundred times, right? And it never gets easier. I just spend less time on it because I want it to be over faster. I want to forgive real, authentically, rapidly. I just want it to be over so that I can learn the lesson and move on, so that I can then go grow and shift and change and all that good stuff. So how long have you been holding on to anger? What has it done to you? Are you sick? Are you tired? Are you not sleeping at night? Are you gaining weight? Like, the longer you hold on to that, let that shit go. Seriously. Easier said than done when you're in it. But that's why you have lifelines. That's why you have mentors and books. That's why you have coaches. That's why, I do a 3-session, or it's either 2 or 3 sessions. And that basically just gives you the tools that you need to reset your life, right? Like, if I didn't have some of the people and the coaches and the mentors in my life, like one phone call this morning, and I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried, and I was better. And it was like, oh my gosh, I just needed this perception shift. I just needed to know that it was going to be okay, right? That all of this is out of my control, but I can forgive and love, right? Yes, you can't sleep, your heart hurts. Have you ever heard of that feeling when like somebody says that your heart is heavy? There's actually a syndrome. It's called broken heart syndrome. People die from it because they don't allow their emotions to flow, right? Like, scientifically proven crap, you guys. Like, this isn't, I'm not making this up. I'm not some crazy woman sitting in my basement talking to you guys about forgiveness because it's all bullshit. It's real. And if you've ever felt that feeling of a broken heart, whether you lose your animal, one of my friend's dog got hit by a car last night and I could feel her pain. I could just feel that heartbreaking, wrenching safe sitting on my chest. And I just wanted to help her release it. But that is a real feeling. Well, how do you get rid of it? Modalities. There's Reiki, there's body talk, there's motion code, there's hypnosis, there's meditating. Meditating is free. You can literally go sit in your room, out in your backyard, go sit in a church. It doesn't matter. Go sit somewhere and count your breath. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. And don't pay attention to anything but your thoughts. Forgiveness is the key to your happiness. Once you can forgive yourself and forgive others because they're really just doing the best they could. And I'm so grateful I ran into who I ran into this morning because I realized I had forgiven. I'd forgiven myself and I'd forgiven her, and all I had for her was love. It was crazy. What are you guys doing? Okay, gotta go. My kids are fighting. Forgiveness, you guys. It's huge.